Duke Eclipse presents the Horror Hideout Podcast, a podcast covering everything horror, including books, comics, and movies. Presented by Dawson Duke and Kayla Bullock.
Welcome back to Horror Hideout. So, last week we did I Hate Fairyland for our book month, and this week we are doing The Corn Maiden by...
Joyce Carol Oates.
I wanted to say Julie, and I knew that wasn't right.
No. So, The Corn Maiden is in a story collection. And
it's considered a novella, this story is.
It's 138 pages.
Yeah.
And so, I had planned on reading the rest of them in the book to talk about, and I didn't, and you didn't either. So
No,
we're just going to focus on The Corn Maiden.
The actual book itself is called The Corn Maiden and Other Nightmares. And I have not heard anyone talk about any of the other stories in this except for The Corn Maiden.
So what movie or book did we talk about that you had mentioned that this was like people compared this to something we've already talked about? Because that's what got us talking about this story, wanting to read this story. Do you remember?
It was something cult related.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
I just know that you had mentioned it, and that's when I got to look into see
Maybe Donnie Darko? It must have been one of those psychological movies.
I think so.
It may have been Scowler even.
Yes, it was Scowler. You're
Okay.
right, it was Scowler. So, we decided we were going to read this one.
Yes. Which I had not read it, but I think his name is Davis Morgan or something like that. Anyway, he's a guy on YouTube, and I'll try to find the video and link it, but he did a video called The Best Cult Story I've Ever Read, or something like that about it. And I had heard some other people talk about it on just scrolling on TikTok that I don't know their names or anything. And I have always personally really enjoyed cult stuff, so I thought it was a good one for us to do on here.
Yeah. So, spoiler-free review. It's about a girl that gets kidnapped. I'm not sure I can say much else.
I would say, I'm going to piggyback off what you're saying, but I'm going to say it's about a girl that gets kidnapped and the person that kidnapped her.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say.
So, we're just going to dive right in.
Yeah.
I will say that, I talk about my book trading buddy all the time on here. And I just love him. I've never met him in person, but he's like the best book trading buddy ever. He actually had this one, and so we were getting ready to send a box when we talked about doing it, and so I asked him if he would make sure it was in the box. He did not like the writing style so much that he didn't finish it. So, and I have
The
never
writing
read,
style did not bother me that much.
Well, I have never read anything else by her, so I don't know if it's a common writing style for her.
You know what it did? In parts, what it did remind me of? The Road. Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah.
Not entirely. The big thing it reminded me of, though, I think I've talked about it before, but there's a short story collection I read when I was in high school that was called After. And they were all different stories about post-apocalyptic things. There's a story in there that was written by someone that, was in the future of America, and, illiteracy was, it was very, very rare for you to be literate. So, the way they wrote was very... they did not follow all grammar rules, and, words were spelled differently and stuff like that. And that is also what this reminded me of. And I think you got me that one book, I think it's called Wasteland, that's, Stephen King's got a story in there, but there are also a bunch of stories about apocalypse. I think there's one in there that's kind of written like that, too.
Is that the Stories from the Borderland?
I don't know.
That may not be that.
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway.
It's got a guy on the front with a gas mask.
Oh, no. That's not the one. So, let's dive in.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go first.
So, we get chapters that are kind of from different people's points of view. So, the first two chapters are from the points of view of the people that have kidnapped this girl. And I don't remember which one's first and which one's second. But the first and second chapter, one of them is about the leader. So, basically, with our characters, you've got the girl they kidnapped, and you've got the three girls that have kidnapped them. And that's who we meet at first.
So, just to throw this out there, this whole conversation is going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens in the story, stop listening right now.
And go read it.
And then come back.
I would recommend it. I don't know if this is one you'd recommend. You didn't seem like you were too excited about it.
We'll get into that. We'll get into
Okay.
why I wouldn't.
But I'm just asking, would you recommend it or you wouldn't? It doesn't matter.
For a
I'm
quick
just.
read, I think I would. I'll just say this because we already said it's probably gonna be spoilers. With the name of it and the mention of the Native American tribes that they talk about in here, I wanted to know more of that mythology. I
Okay.
don't know if you call that mythology of Native Americans.
See, and that's what I was thinking about. And I was actually thinking about that on the way here. And I've even heard people refer to Christianity, like stuff in the Bible, as Christian mythology. So I think it's fine to call any of it mythology.
Okay. So I wanted to know more. I mean, we get the basis of the ritual and what it's supposed to do, but I wanted like more
Well, I think we'll talk
in
about that.
depth.
And I think I might change your mind a little bit on some of it.
All right, we'll see.
But yes, so what they kind of explain in the beginning is that at this museum that the girls visited on a school field trip, they had a representation of a ritual they call the Corn Maiden ritual.
And the girls are only what, like
I don't like
I
11.
think the girl that gets kidnapped's 9, and the other girls are 11
Yeah.
or 12.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the exhibit that they go to.
Yes.
It even talks about how there was a sign outside there that nobody under the age of like 16 or something.
Because
should
it's
be in
disturbing.
it should be in this exhibit. But,
Yeah.
but she sneaks in there.
But I think now might be a good time to get into the writing style a little bit. Mom mentions that, and it's like there's no like sentence break here. It's just like it's talking about when they went to the museum, but it's kind of just it feels like you're reading someone's thoughts directly.
Yeah.
Like it,
I mean, and honestly, it's like reading an 11 or 12-year-old's thoughts
Brain.
or diary.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, diary they probably write better than this, but like it's like from their point of view.
yes. So basically, the Corn Maiden ritual is based off of like a real Iroquois ritual that they would do, I guess.
Don't they mention more than one Indian tribe that did it? Like I feel like they said, I know it's Iroquois, but like they even mentioned a couple more that had similar.
So I think what they say in the book is, and I don't know for sure, I could be wrong, but I think the Iroquois, when they're talking about that, I think the Iroquois is kind of the broad name for like a group of multiple tribes.
Gotcha.
But I don't
Okay.
know that for sure. But
That
that's
makes sense.
that's
Gotcha.
what I think. But I could also be getting that confused with other things. So don't take my word for it. Go read this yourself or research it yourself. But yeah. So she went and saw this exhibit, and basically they would kidnap a woman from a different Native American tribe, and they would sacrifice her for a good harvest. And that's pretty much what the Corn Maiden ritual is.
Yeah.
So our main character, kind of like the main character, it's June, right? Is it June?
I think so. The one that gets kidnapped?
No.
Oh no.
The one that gets kidnapped, I think, is like Maria or Marisa. I can look. But Marissa is the one that gets kidnapped. And then the kind of Jude is the girl, is kind of the lead girl. So there's 3 girls that kidnap this girl named Marissa, and Jude is kind of the leader of them, and she was raised by her grandma, and it sounds like she didn't really know her parents. And her grandma is kind of just old, and so it's not really like she's purposely being neglectful, but it's just like she kind of lets Jude, like leaves Jude to her own devices. So there's mentions throughout the story.
Marissa is 11, the other girls are 13.
Okay. I knew somewhere in there they said someone was 11. But, so, Jude, you can tell, has a lot of problems, and later in the story it kind of describes her, and it sounds like she doesn't have good, like, hygiene habits and stuff.
Judah.
And it's, what? Judah.
It says Judah, born Judith.
Well, I'm on the second chapter here, and it's
Okay.
Jude, and it says Jude.
Okay.
So, at least your 2 followers call her Jude. But, what was I saying? Oh, so it sounds like her grandma doesn't really watch her all that well. And so she's she's kind of neglected by not only like her grandma, but also kind of just like the system in general.
And I mean, her grandma's old. Like, they even talk about how she has trouble with the stairs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she won't go upstairs to Jude's room because she can't really do the stairs.
Yeah. And so it also kind of, this story was written kind of in the early days of the internet.
Okay.
And Jude has gotten in contact through like chat rooms, which the thing is, nowadays when you talk about getting to know people online, everyone does it. We've got all these social medias. Back then you had to seek out chat rooms and stuff. Like you had to go looking for this kind of stuff.
Well, like my book trading buddy, I wouldn't have met him if it wasn't for online. So.
Yeah. And so she sought out a chat room, and she got in contact with this guy that refers to himself as the Master of Eyes. But to me, they never say any specific illnesses or anything. But it seems like Jude has a lot of mental issues. And like that she might have some kind of schizophrenia or something, related to that.
They even mentioned that at one point, don't they?
But they mention she's on like Xanax and stuff, which is more like ADHD.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they mention that kind of stuff specifically.
Okay. I thought they did.
Maybe they do. But not that I remember, but maybe they do. But so she
You may have mentioned this, but I was looking stuff up. Did you mention that they live in a big mansion?
No, I had not mentioned that yet. But yes, they do. And the mansion has a cellar, which kind of comes up. So, anyway, so Jude has convinced these other two girls that are kind of like... So, I'm getting into real-world true crime stuff here for a minute, but have you ever done any looking into the actual, like, Slenderman thing, where the two girls stabbed the other girl?
No.
So Creepcast just did a video on it where they went through it, and essentially there was this mentally unwell girl that had.
I know the story. Like I haven't done any research on it, but I remember it. Like I remember that it was.
But she had like schizophrenia, and her dad also had schizophrenia. But her dad, when he was like 19, decided that he wasn't taking his medication anymore and just stopped taking his medication. And so, like, a lot of people think he kind of dropped the ball because he knew it ran in his family and stuff, but they didn't try to get her help or anything. And so basically, she had like schizophrenia, and she had a very hard time between telling what was real and what was imaginary. And so she read the Slenderman story online and just got obsessed with it. And she had this other friend who had kind of been an outsider her whole life. And so when this other girl came up to her, she kind of latched onto her and kind of would do anything she said to try to be cool to her. And that's kind of how the two girls that follow the girl that follow Jude in this story feel. Where they're just kind of willing to go along with whatever Jude says because they want to be in with her. They think she's cool because she's done stuff like introduce them to drugs and pornography and like all this stuff. And she makes, to them, she is almost like a deity.
Right.
Jude. So Jude decides this girl at school, Marissa, is going to be her Corn Maiden. She gets obsessed with this Corn Maiden ritual, and I don't...
All because she has silky, long, blonde hair.
Yes, which also comes back later. And so, do you want to talk? I feel like I've been talking a bunch. So we meet them and stuff, and we know that they kidnapped Marissa. So we meet... Is it Leah? Leah? So Leah is Marissa's mom, and she...
Well, I want to talk about this part. I know you just asked me if I wanted to. I wasn't sure if we were ready to talk about her.
Yes.
So,
we're telling this kind of somewhat out of order, but I'm just trying to get...
Yeah.
It's
have to.
Because of the way it's written, I think it would be hard to kind of try to go through it in order with the way it kind of... There's almost side tangents at parts and things like that.
Right.
But it does feel like you're literally reading someone's brain.
Yeah. So when we first meet Leah, she has just came home from work. But she didn't come straight home from work. She had to stop at the grocery store, and she gets home and Marissa is not there. And she's an alcoholic, and we have these moments where she's like, well, I can't call the cops because of all the beer cans. I gotta clean up. Well, and she's like, well, I'm just gonna take a sip of one, and then she ends up drinking a whole one, and she's like
she ends up drinking like 4 or 5 before.
Story.
Yeah.
Like, we get the story, but then you also have again like her internal thoughts sometimes.
Yes.
Like, what are the cops gonna think of me? Like, she talks about how when something like this happens, when a kid goes missing, the public always judges the parent.
Yeah.
Like, what could she have done different? And, like,
Well,
what
and
could she tell them?
she also feels like she's extra judged because she had Marissa with her boss.
No.
What?
No. Marissa's dad's out in California. But he died. They find out that he died in 1999. She was having an affair with her boss, and that's why she was so late getting home.
Okay, I was getting those mixed up in my head. So anyway, are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Positive. Because she talks about how her and the dad were never married, and he went to California with... So he ran off to California with somebody else.
Anyway, she's a single mother.
Yeah.
And so she feels like she already gets judged for that, not having a man around.
And also judged because they live in a kind of a rundown apartment, but Marissa goes to like a private school.
Yeah. And also she had Marissa out of wedlock, so she also feels like she's judged for that. So she lies about it and tells her family they were married.
Yes.
So do you want to...
So, just some of the internal dialogue, like, as a mom, I get it. Like, your first thought is, I have to keep my kid safe. Like, I have to find my daughter. Like, for me, I would be like, I don't give a crap what people think about me. I have to find, like, I'm going to find my kid. Like, we're going to do what we have to. But I can see from her point of view, like, because I was a single mom for a while, like, you're going to judge me. You're going to think that I don't deserve to have my kids. Like, who's going to take my kid away from me because I didn't do what I needed to do? You know, like, which I never left you guys alone until Riley...
Yeah.
Until your older sister was...
She's been on the podcast before. They know who she is.
So, until she was old enough to take care of you guys, like, watch you guys.
Well,
but you guys never walked home from school by yourself, none of that stuff. So, and that was the thing, Marissa had walked home from school...
Yes.
And didn't make it home.
Well, and I'm going to read this verbatim from the book. This is on page 10. Dial 911 and your life is public fodder. Dial 911 and your life is not yours. Dial 911 and your life is forever changed. Suburban single mom, latchkey daughter, 11-year-old missing, South Statskill, which is the town. Mm-hmm. And so what a latchkey kid is it was more of a thing in the early 2000s that people got judged for it, but it was a kid that would come home and they'd have their own key because their parents weren't home when they got home from school.
And she even talks about how, like, she only works late 2 nights a week at the medical clinic she works at.
Only Tuesdays and Thursdays she worked late at the clinic.
Yeah, and Marissa would start dinner, and so she knew that was going to be an issue. And so
yeah.
I get it. From a mom's point of view, I get that, like, anxiety of not ever being good enough. Like,
the way...
as a mom, never being good enough.
The way that this chapter is written, like I said, it's like the internal thoughts and stuff. You can feel the panic as she's doing this stuff. And, like, even, like... At points it drops like I and she and stuff and just like...
Yeah.
It just talks about the actions.
Yeah. So she does end up calling 911 and so of course she's getting interviewed by the police. And they start questioning her about the dad. And so, like you mentioned, she had lied to her family about being married. And so it had to come out that, you know, they were estranged, the dad was in California. I don't know. I think they lived by New York. I think they mentioned that at one point.
I don't know.
But, so the police actually, like, investigate the dad. And that's when they find out that he died on a fishing trip in 1999. And so, like, she has to call she wants to call her parents and tell them, you know, hey, I lied about this. So she does that. She has a sister. She calls the sister. The sister comes into town to help her through everything. But Marissa just is gone. Like, there's no sign of her. Nobody has seen her. Nothing.
And they... is it Leah or Leia? Leah?
I think it's Leah.
Okay. Leah's fears are kind of valid because once she does come out to the police and stuff, they do talk about her. And people in the newspapers talk about her and stuff. And... about how she's an irresponsible mother and how it took her an hour to call the police when she was missing, and when she called the police she was drunk and like all this stuff. And
it also comes out that she was having an affair with her boss because that was part of the reason she was late, was because she stopped by, I don't know if it was an apartment or a hotel or something, to see him. Yeah. Which he's a married doctor.
And he ends up mad at her because she comes out and talks about the affair and it ruins his marriage.
Yeah. Which, they were already separated. Him and his wife were separated.
Yeah. But everyone just kind of piles onto her.
Yeah. And I get it. Like I said, as a single mom, and I'm not a single mom now, but as a single mom, I understand that, like...
She does end up, like, thinking, and later in the book and stuff, she's like, I don't even care that I'm being judged anymore. I just, as long as my daughter gets home, I'll be fine.
Right. And one thing I had a hard time with at this part in the book was the time frame. Like, because
this all takes place in a couple days.
I know, but like in the next chapter, she's talking about how she's been gone for so long and she's, all of this stuff. And then it's like she's been gone 48 hours. And I'm like, but there was one part in the book I remember thinking, it sounds like it's the way it was written, it sounded like it had been a month.
I know, but they always say the first 48 hours are the most crucial.
Right.
So imagine if one of your kids went missing.
No, let's not imagine that.
I know, but I'm saying
I know.
even just 2 hours would feel like an eternity.
Yeah.
So I think that's the point that's trying to come across, is it's like, in these moments, every second counts, and it feels so much longer than it is.
Yeah.
So, now we meet the teacher, and I'm trying to find his name. It's Michael something, isn't it? Zalman.
Yeah. Zalman?
Yeah.
Mikhail.
Is it Mikhail? Mikhail Zalman?
Mikal. Mikhail.
Okay. So he's a teacher at the school that Jude kind of had a crush on.
Yes. And
he's a teacher. He's a substitute teacher.
Yeah, and it's like, it sounded to me like he only subbed for like computer classes.
Yes.
So he wasn't there a whole lot.
Yeah. And so Jude kind of latched onto him and kind of had a crush on him. And kind of, I don't know how to word it, but she kind of tried to come onto him, but that's not like the right verbiage.
Yeah, I mean, that's for lack of a better way to say it.
And he obviously rejects her because she's in 8th grade and he's 31 years old.
Yeah.
And so she gets upset at him about
it. He
it.
Talks about, like, because obviously, as a computer teacher, you're walking around the room, like, he never even touches you on the shoulder. Like, he talks about how
in his brain he's like, "Don't touch the kids," and like,
again,
she cusses. She cusses, and in his mind he's like, "Don't encourage that. Like, don't encourage the bad language and stuff." Like, he has like these rules in his head that he's reaffirming to himself.
Right, and I mean, even like at one point, I think he talks about like leaning over the keyboard to fix something. Like she would screw stuff up on purpose and leaning over and making sure he didn't touch her.
Yeah.
And even he talks about that, like when they ask him about Marissa later on, he doesn't even remember her.
Yeah, they have to show him a picture. They ask about Marissa and he doesn't know the name, and they show him a picture and he's like, "Oh yeah, she was one of my students."
That's the thing. Like, as a substitute teacher, if you're not, I mean, as a normal teacher, I would think that if you saw one of your students was missing, you would know automatically, yes, she's one of my students. But for a substitute teacher it sounds like he does all grades for computer, and he's only in there, I think they say 2 or 3 days a week max, you're not going to have that.
Well, I'm sure you've worked around kids before, and when I was working at the library, especially in the summer times when we had the summer reading program going on, I worked around kids a lot, and you get those kind of rules in your head for yourself. Because you're not the parent, and it's very easy to overstep.
Yeah. And anymore, it's like, in the education system or daycare or anything, you don't want to touch kids. Like, you don't want
and you don't even want to be, like, a lot of the schools now even have rules you cannot be in the room alone with a student.
Yeah.
There has to be either another student in there or another adult.
Right. Well, even like when you were in Scouts, it was the same way.
Yeah.
You couldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, I could because you were my kid, but like as a Boy Scout leader, I couldn't be one-on-one with another kid.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I never really had to worry about that at the library because we always did everything out in the open and the parents were welcome to come, so I never had any issues with that. But.
Yeah.
But stuff like that happens though, because I remember when I was working at the library, there was a girl, and she was only in like 2nd grade, that had a crush on me. And she would give me little drawings and things when she came to the summer reading program, and so I was very cautious with not that I would do anything, you know what I mean, but I was just very cautious with how I interacted with her.
Right. It's sad that you have to be that way, but, like, what if she'd come in crying and needed a hug? Like, you couldn't do that in this day and age. In the 50s or 60s, you could have with no thought.
And her parents knew, like, knew what was going on and stuff. Like, they knew that she kind of had taken a liking to me and stuff. But I was always very careful around her, and like I was never in a room alone with her or anything like that, or like I'd make sure someone was out there because I don't want rumors like that to fly or anything like that.
Right. So back to our story.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much our key players.
Yeah, we get some other people, but not really.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you talk.
So Jude decides since, oh crap, I just forgot it. Is it Zalman?
Zalman.
Decides since Zalman kind of rejected her, that they're gonna frame her for the disappearance of Marissa. Him. Yes. Sorry. Jude and her two friends are gonna frame. Which, do we get the friends' names? I think we do. But I don't remember what they are.
I don't either.
But anyway, so Jude decides they're gonna frame Mr. Zalman. So they all do a few things. So one of the girls tells the police, "Oh, I saw her get in a car," and then describes Mr. Zalman. And then another girl gives them Mr. Zalman's license plate and says she saw Marissa in that car. And then Jude like takes a hair clip,
a barrette, yeah,
from Marissa and puts it in the parking lot at his apartment. So now the police are in him and are thinking he did it. So he pushes for them to do a polygraph test, and they do a polygraph test, and it's like inconclusive.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot with polygraph tests. They say they're about 60% accurate, but even then I don't know if that's true. Because you're already at a high end.
Nowhere online tells me their names.
Okay. I mean, that kind of lends itself to the narrative though. Because they kind of are just the followers of Jude.
Yeah.
Oh, and one thing, so I mentioned that Jude talks to that guy online who refers to himself as the Masters of Eyes. And I also mentioned that in real life, there, with the Slenderman stabbing, that girl could not tell reality from fiction and all that. Well, in this, there's multiple times where Jude refers to herself as the Master of Eyes, refers to the Master of Eyes as being the guy online, and then also refers to Mr. Zalman as the Master of Eyes. So she's not all mentally there.
I wondered that. I wondered if she actually thinks that he is the Master of Eyes.
I don't think so. I think she's getting things mixed up in her own head. Which brings me back to, you said that you think it would have been cool if they would admit more into the Native American ritual. I think the entire point of the story is she doesn't actually understand the ritual.
Well, I get that. I just mean from a reading perspective, I wanted more of that. You know what I mean?
I know, but I'm sure there's other stories out there exploring it, or you could look up the actual, like, stuff. But I think the whole point in this story is that she only saw that exhibit and then she just ran with it. And like that, the guy that I watched on YouTube refers to this as a cult story. And this is like, I think this is the majority of what cults are. It's one person that gets this idea in their head and they tell other people, and then it kind of just grows from there. Which I don't necessarily think all of them are this extreme where they're kidnapping people.
Right.
But I think this is how a lot of them start. It's just one person gets an idea in their head and finds people that are easily swayed to their side.
Yeah.
So they talk about, after they kidnap Marissa, they're not giving her a whole lot of food. Jude says they only have to give her pure food, which is white food.
I don't know if you mentioned this, but they put her in the basement of her...
The cellar, yes.
The cellar of her grandma's house. Yes. Because the room is soundproof?
I think so.
Or something in the... I can't remember what they said the room was originally for, but there's some reason that the grandma wouldn't be able to hear her down there.
And they keep drugging her. They keep breaking up Xanax and putting it in her food, so she's
That's actually how they get her down there to begin with.
Yes. So she's kind of in a constant state of delirium.
So she stops at a local, I kind of get the impression it's just like a gas station type area.
Yeah.
Convenience store. And she stops in there after school to get chips, and Jude and her friends meet her there and convince her to go back and have ice cream with them.
Yes.
At Jude's house.
And they break up the Xanax and put it in the ice cream.
Yes. There was something else I want to mention too. Oh, they talk about how, and like you said, she's mentally handicapped. Was that the political term?
I would just say like mentally ill.
Mentally ill. She's a little behind where she should be, like education wise and things like that. And they keep her in this dark room, and they tell her that the world has ended.
And that they're the only ones alive.
And that, like, because she keeps asking for her mom. And that part breaks my heart. Like,
and Jude says...
Megan is missing?
No, but I know what it is.
Okay, so there's a part in that movie where she's begging for her mom, and I pictured that with this little girl. Like, she's in this dark room. They say they can't use electricity, um, but then they even point out that she's stupid, and I think that may be the term they use in the book, because she doesn't realize they're feeding her cold cottage cheese. Well, if there's no electricity, how is the cottage cheese cold?
Yeah.
Like, they're just so mean to this girl, but they keep her locked up in this dark room.
And they'll only give her. Jude says they can only feed her pure food, so they're only feeding her stuff that's white.
Yes.
So they feed her cottage cheese. They grind up chicken bones and feed her like the dust. Melted ice cream.
I was thinking yogurt, but maybe there wasn't
yogurt. Yeah, yogurt too. So it's just like Jude keeps coming up with all these weird rules, and she keeps changing her beliefs. Like, because initially, so I guess in the Corn Maiden ritual, they would shoot an arrow into the Corn Maiden's heart and then cut her heart out.
Yes.
So that's the original.
Eat the heart.
I think so. So Jude keeps bringing that up. And that's kind of the plan the whole time. But the other girls don't really seem like they almost seem like they're playing a game, like they're playing pretend, and they don't really believe they're going to get to that point. Like, that they're actually going to kill her.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is just what you said, sorry. But, like, I don't think her friends believe that it's going to go that far.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I said that I think they're still thinking it kind of like a game, and they don't ever think it's actually going to get to that point.
Yeah. And so, you talked about how they set up... So, they set up Mr. Zalman. But he has actually went hiking that weekend. But he has no proof that he went hiking that weekend because he went by himself.
And he mentions, that's another thing he mentions a lot when we get the chapters that are from his point of view, is that he likes to be alone. He likes his solitude.
Yeah. And so he actually comes down the mountain that he's hiking, and the cops are there, and they arrest him at the site because they think he's the one that kidnapped this girl. So they're all of their search efforts are now focused on this.
Yeah.
I am picturing like a park, like Smoky Mountain Park. I know it's not the Smoky Mountains, but something like that where this is where they're focusing all their efforts looking for her.
And with like the whole purity and she can only have things that's white, there's a part where Jude and her two followers show up at Leah's house with white flowers. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry we were friends with Marissa. But they're so... When you think of like cult leaders, you think of people that are like super charismatic and they think out what they're going to say and they're really good at manipulating people. In here, when Jude's talking to Leah, someone that's like outside of her sphere of influence, she almost like stumbles over her words and doesn't really... She's not like kind of antisocial.
Yeah, and I this part made me think, because I always say like, a killer always goes back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
So like, if you set a house on fire, you're going to be one of the people in the audience, I won't call it audience, but in the crowd watching the house burn. And so I was thinking, like, she is there because she's a witch and she wants to see what she's done to somebody else's mom. Like, and I wonder if that has something to do with her mental issues too. That she doesn't have her mom, so she doesn't know what it's like to have somebody who actually miss you.
Well, I don't think Jude is as evil as you think she is, which we'll get into at the end. But a lot of people come away with this thinking, oh, Jude's completely evil, she's a bad person.
But I think it's a good person.
I don't think she's a good person necessarily, but I think there's more nuance to that we can get into when we get to the end. But so Leah keeps telling the police, I want to meet Zalman. Like, I want to meet the guy that supposedly kidnapped my daughter. And the police keep saying, that's not a good idea, that's not a good idea. Well, Zalman is kind of saying the same thing. He's like, I want to go talk to her. And they're telling him the same thing, that it's not a good idea. Well, they end up talking. Right?
Not until Marissa's found. Because remember, he goes to her house to meet her. He goes there to the house and he gets arrested outside of her house again.
That's what it is. He goes to meet her, he gets arrested. That's what I meant to... That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm getting different parts mixed up in my head, but... So... The three, like Jude and her two girls, you mentioned that they had gone to the gas station or whatever to get Marissa. Mm-hmm. Well, the worker that was in there ends up talking to Leah and saying that she saw her in there talking to 3 girls.
Which the
Which
police
wouldn't...
had interviewed him, and he told them he didn't see anything, but he was nervous.
And English is not his first language, so he didn't really understand the questions they were asking him. Which is why he didn't come out with it, is what he says. That's what he tells Leah, at least. And when Leah's thinking about it, that doesn't add up, because from the eyewitness that they have that says that they saw her get picked up by Zalman...
So they never actually
That was a different street.
So they never actually say it was Zalman. They described the vehicle.
That I know.
His.
Well, they say his license plate.
Yeah.
And they describe him without saying it's him.
Yeah.
But one of the other girls goes to the police and says, "Oh yeah," or no, it's later. Jude runs into Leah again when she's out on a bike, right? And she's talking to Leah, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Zalman was always creepy.
Yeah.
He used to have a wire hairbrush, and he used to brush the pretty girl's hair, but I wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff." And she's just like, the mask is slipping.
Yeah.
Because she's a 13-year-old girl. She's not like a criminal mastermind. Like,
so they're also, with Marissa, they're also taking cell phone pictures of her.
yes.
They've got her stripped naked, laying on I kind of picture it just like a grass mat, like what you would see inside of a log cabin back in the day.
Well, and Jude keeps telling her, "Don't worry, we're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm your savior, even."
But they keep her so weak that she can't really fight back or get herself out or anything.
Well, and they mentioned I think they mentioned something like she's getting more baby-like.
Yeah.
But what they really mean is she's getting weaker.
Yeah. And, they strip her naked and Jude poses for pictures with her while she's naked. So you can't tell me Jude's not got issues.
I'm not saying Jude doesn't have issues. I'm saying I don't necessarily think she's a bad person. Entirely. I don't think she's a completely evil human being, and we'll talk about it. But also, that's another thing I didn't mention. When they go to the house, when the 3 girls go to Leah's house, and they're talking to her, Jude just asks, "Can I take a picture?" And before Leah can even really answer, she takes a picture of her.
Well, the sisters, push him out the door. Like, no, you shouldn't be here.
So they keep, at the store, the clerk saw them and stuff like that. Like, they're not... It's not as well planned out as they act like it is.
Right.
Do you want to...
And so, we're kind of getting toward the end, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So, Jude goes down to the basement by herself, or the cellar by herself, to feed Marissa. And Marissa is very upset, and she's like, "I want my mom. I want to go home." And she actually fights back this time. And Jude had it in her mind that this was going to be when she murdered Marissa and she was going to set her on fire.
She changed her mind from doing the arrow and something about fire being purifying and stuff.
Yes. But she even talks about, before she goes down there, she even talks about, or thinks about, I'll die with her, I'll do it to myself too. We'll die together, and this will be the ultimate sacrifice or whatever. But Marissa actually gets away.
Yes.
And as she's climbing up the cellar stairs, Jude freaks out and decides she's going to set herself on fire. So she actually sets herself on fire and kills herself.
Yes. And before we get any further, there's a specific thing that Jude says to Marissa that I want to read verbatim from the book, but I'm trying to find it. So if you want to keep talking about what happens next, once I find it, I'll interject.
So then we kind of have I think a 6-month time jump. Is it 6 months? Does that sound right?
I mean, it sounds right, but I don't know.
And Marissa and her mom have moved away, and Zalman has quit teaching and has moved... No, he's not. Has he quit teaching? Is he doing something different?
I think so.
But he has moved away, and him and Leah are dating. And we get a scene where they're at a park getting ready to have a picnic, and she talks about Marissa's hair. She's cut off all of her hair.
Marissa's scared to have long hair now because it makes you vulnerable. Because that's one of the things that Jude had brought up, was that her golden hair is what made her the Corn Maiden.
Right. So, but we kind of see that. I mean, we see a lot of kind of after effects of what it's done to Marissa, and she doesn't really want to be away from her mom, and she doesn't want to.
And
She's having trouble in school.
she's taken to reading picture books all the time to like escape.
Yeah.
And she's almost displaying some similar behaviors to what Jude was displaying at the beginning. I mean, with like her thoughts and things like that.
I didn't get that.
So, in the valley of the shadow of death, I will protect you. Is one of the things that Jude says to Marissa. And the part you're talking about at the very end, where Marissa is at, she swears that she hears a bird say, "In the valley of the shadow of death, I will protect you." So it's like she's still, like she's got pretty much like PTSD, like she's still got all that with her, and in her mind, almost she sees Jude as a savior, because Jude did take care of her, so she kind of almost has these sweet thoughts about Jude. And so she also now she's like very mentally messed up.
Do you think it's weird that Leah and Michaela are together?
I don't know. It seems odd, especially with how much he emphasized that he likes being alone. But I can understand how a traumatic event can pull people together. And they both felt ostracized by the community because he was accused, and she was looked down upon because she let her go missing.
I don't,
like, quote unquote,
I
let
think
her.
That, like, I don't know. I mean, I know they know what happened to the daughter. I mean, and they know what happened to Marissa, but I don't know if I could ever get that out of my head. Like, you were the one that was accused of hurting my child.
I don't know. I think they find solace in each other because they were both accused. Is the way I see it.
Maybe.
But what I mean about Jude is, I don't necessarily think she's like a completely irredeemable person. I think she was a person with a mental illness that needed intervention, that needed help, and the system failed her. And I think that's what's happening to Marissa at the end. I think that's why Marissa hears Jude's voice from that bird. I think she's also...
Do we ever... No, I'm going to change subject for just a second, but they never say what happened to her friends, do they?
No, just that Jude went down there alone to burn her.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that... I don't know. I didn't like Jude, so I don't want to say anything good about her.
Well, I don't really like her actions either, but I think the story is kind of... It's a cycle of the system failing. You know what I mean?
But how did the system fail Jude? Because she was on medicine and she was supposed to see us. She was supposed to be talking to a therapist, wasn't she?
Because she wasn't actually... They talk about that. She's not actually taking her medicine. And her grandma is not taking care of her like she's supposed to.
Well, her not taking her medicine's on her. That's not a system failure.
It's a failure of her grandma.
That's true.
And I don't know if system failures is the right term. More like neglect. Yeah. Like how neglect can let things fester.
But then she was also willing to ruin that teacher's life because he wouldn't do bad things with a 13-year-old.
I know. I think it's the mental illness thing. I think it's... And I think it also... There's a lot of people that get online and they meet people and they're talked into things that they would not normally do. Or you see it a lot with the celebrities and stuff. It's like when you have that much money and you can afford to do whatever you do, you get more and more extreme with it. Which is why stuff like Epstein's Island happens.
Yeah. Which
is disgusting and sick.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, this was one of those where there's so much potential, and I feel like there could have been a lot more substance to the story.
I think it had good substance. Personally.
I'm not saying it didn't have substance. I just said it could have had more. Like Like, I think, I don't know.
But I
think
can
my
see.
biggest turn off from the whole story is that they were dating at the end. Because that's just weird to me, and I feel like I would want, like, a complete cutoff and restart from anything to do with any of that.
But doesn't even actually officially.
I'm pretty sure there was something in there about dating or something.
Well, at the very. Marissa thinks. Behind Marissa, Mommy and Mr. Zalman are talking earnestly. Always they are talking, it seems. Maybe they will be married and talk all the time, and Marissa will not need to listen to them. She will be invisible. But I don't know. It's one of those things where trauma does bond people, so I wonder if both of them being accused and feeling like outsiders kind of made them closer.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess I feel like the bad people didn't get their comeuppance at the end.
I mean, Jude did.
I don't know. Maybe I just needed more closure.
I don't know. I think it's a very I think it's a good it's a good story focused on mental illness, because even she met that guy online that's like the Master of Eyes, and there's a part later when she's more spiraling where she messages him and then thinks, oh, he might be FBI, and like completely gets out of the chat room and deletes everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I just expected more. I went into it really not knowing what it was about. I knew that it was a Native American legend, and so I think I was.
Well, and I think
I was thinking. I think I was expecting something more historical, like.
I think you could do an interesting story exploring the Native American Corn Maiden ritual, but that's not what this was going for.
Yeah, so maybe I just didn't go into it with the right mindset. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I think she's a good writer.
See, and like I said, I'd watched that video where he kind of explains the story before I actually read the story, so I wonder if that helped me too.
Maybe, but like I said, I didn't mind the writing style. But like I said, James was like, he couldn't even finish.
Well, I told you when we were texting whenever I was reading it, and I told you that it was kind of you had to get used to it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I will finish the book, and in maybe our next episode, I will let you guys know what I think of the rest of the stories. Just a quick blurb about them, but...
I would recommend this one. I mean, this story. I don't know about the other stories in here.
From what I was looking at online, people say this is the best one in the whole book, but...
Okay.
I don't know. I guess we didn't... I guess... I don't know. I'm always rooting for the good guy, and maybe it's like you said, with her having the mental...
Well, Marissa lived.
Well, I know, but I think maybe that her not being all happy and, like...
But you wouldn't be in real life.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
I don't remember which horror movie it is, but there's one horror movie where she's surviving, like, the whole time. And at the very end, she's in a car, and they do these shots like you think something's going to come out of the woods after her. And nothing ever does. And that's where the movie ends. And it leaves you with this idea that, yeah, the killer's dead, but she's still going to live with the fear of everything that happened, and the PTSD and that kind of stuff. And that's what this ending kind of felt like to me.
I can see that, yeah.
Like, this felt very realistic in the portrayal at the end, where it's like, you're not going to be okay after something like that. And they had already mentioned earlier in the story that Marissa had some learning difficulties. And so I can see her shrinking back even more and latching onto her mom so hard and picture books and trying to regain that childhood. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Yeah. But, like, try to regain your childhood.
Right.
Your loss of innocence. That's what I was trying to say.
I just honestly, and this is just me, I'm not sure I'm a novella person.
Yeah.
Because
and I love stuff like that.
A lot of times I feel like the story's just getting started and then it's the end. But that's just me. That's like I can sit down and read a 500-page book and not think anything of it. So.
And I'm not going to say this story has no issues, because I'm sure it does. I personally think it's a good exploration of, like, mental illness and kind of what most cults probably end up being.
Yeah, I can see that. I just look at it like as Marissa gets older, what if she Googles like her kidnapping or whatever, and then she sees that they accused him of it? How's that going to affect her mental health? If her and him get married, like
I would assume she already knows. I don't know. I don't know. 11 is such a hard age because that is kind of when you're going from. That's kind of when you're kind of moving away from childish things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know that you can. I mean, like I still have action figures and stuff, and I'm over. Yeah, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the age where you kind of. So it's kind of. I mean, a lot of coming of age stories, they're around that age, and so that's the kind of age where you kind of I mean, I'm not a parent, but that's the kind of age where as a parent you kind of decide what you need to warn them about in the world and what you need to not tell them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's the point where you start getting more responsibilities and that kind of thing.
I think I just figured out what my biggest issue with this story was. Okay, bear with me.
Okay.
I think my biggest issue was not being able to pinpoint the time frame, like where were we at in time, like. And I say that because there were a lot of things that were like Melissa didn't have a cell phone, and they talk about what's her name's being a flip phone, and then you've got chat rooms, so.
This was like early 2000s.
I don't know. I just from the title and what I thought it was about, it's not what I expected.
Yeah.
But if you put that aside, it is a good story.
See, and I wonder if you had gone into it without any preconceived notions whatsoever, if you would have.
Well, I didn't know anything about it except for what you talked about with it being like a cult thing.
Yeah, but
So
I mean,
guess I was
the Corn
expecting
Maiden
more.
ritual thing, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was expecting more.
But I think the reason she didn't go into like the actual Corn Maiden ritual and stuff is because it's like it was just this one thing that Jude saw a representation of in this one museum, and she just latched onto that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like I talked about the real life Slenderman stabbing thing. It's like people that are mentally ill like that can just stumble across something, and it doesn't matter what it is, they can latch onto it.
Yeah.
And you know, people nowadays, you know, the whole video game increases violence and rated R movies are bad, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's, I mean, I do think there's some merits in, I mean, not showing young kids rated R movies and stuff like that. But I don't think that video games is increasing violence at all. And I think it's more, it doesn't matter what is out there, people are going to get their fix somehow. You know what I mean? I don't think the world is getting more violent. I think with the internet and stuff, we're more aware of things that are going on.
I think the world's getting more violent, but I think it's just because I think the family unit is falling apart, and I don't think parents are as involved. Don't interrupt me yet.
I'm not.
I don't think parents are as involved in their kids' lives as they should be, and we live in a culture where it's not, I'm going to smack your hand if you're going to touch a hot stove. It's, I'm going to sit you down and tell you why you shouldn't do that, instead of just smacking your hand away. You know what I mean? Like, we've moved away from that, like, hard parenting to soft.
I disagree completely. I think, I understand what you're saying, but I think that's completely wrong. Smacking your kids doesn't do anything good for them. People that get whipped as children end up with all kinds of issues. They can get all kinds of bone problems. They can have arthritis issues in their hips. I think gentle parenting is fine, but I think too many parents are handing their kids tablets and letting the tablets raise them. I think that's where we come in. I don't think there's anything wrong with gentle parenting.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with gentle parenting, because I didn't smack you guys around. But I'm saying that there's a point where as a parent you have to set some rules and be a little bit hard on your kids. And I don't think parents do that very often anymore. And I think that
gentle parenting doesn't mean to not set limits.
I don't think that families spend time together like they used to, because everybody's on their phones and everybody's on their tablets and everybody's on their computers, and it's like, that's my electronic babysitter. I don't have to spend time with my kids.
Yeah. I was going to say,
and I think that
I was going to say with you saying that.
You don't develop relationships that way. Like,
well, that's like a lot of the kids. That's like a lot of the COVID kids when they got into school. Like the kids that should have been in preschool and stuff when COVID happened did not know how to socialize when they got to school.
Yeah. And I think, like, Aaron and I were talking about that the other day about something. I don't remember what we were talking about, but people on the internet are mean and cruel. And I
Yeah.
want to know, like, if somebody came on our video and made some nasty comment about the way I talk, say, for example. If we were talking face to face, would you say that to me?
Yeah.
No, because
They're
but you're
hiding
doing
behind
it because
being
you're sitting behind
anonymous.
the
Yeah.
keyboard. Like, you're not going to treat people that way. And our kids see that. Our kids see that there's no repercussions for being an asshole.
Yeah.
I try not to cuss on our podcast, but I think that has a lot to do with it.
I don't think it has anything to do with smacking your kids' hands, though. I don't think you should hit your children.
I didn't mean it like that. I didn't smack you guys around. I just mean I think that parents sometimes are like, instead of that's gonna hurt you, we need to fix it right now, they're like, well, let's talk about why and how, and like, no, just tell your kids no. They don't have to have a reason why.
I agree that no is a sentence and that should be enough. But I also understand sitting your kid down and explaining why the stove's hot, what being hot does, like, because that's a teaching moment for your child.
Okay, that was a really bad example. Okay. That was a really crappy example. Let's say I walked into the bedroom and you were trying to break into the gun safe when you were 5 years old because you didn't know any better. I'm going to yank your butt up away from that gun safe and we're going to...
I think picking your kid up and removing them from a dangerous situation is a lot different than smacking them.
I didn't mean, like, smack him across the face. I was just saying, if you're reaching for a hot stove and I smack your hand back...
And what if you go to smack their hand and it hits the stove?
I don't know. I give up.
I don't think you should hit your children, is what I'm saying. In any capacity.
I've been told that's my problem, is I didn't whip you guys enough.
Who told you that?
I'm not telling. But I was always the mama bear instead of the mean one. I was the nice parent.
If you had hit me, I probably would not have a relationship with you.
Well, see?
So...
But again, you didn't grow up in a household where everybody sat on their tablets and their phones and...
No, you gave us time limits on our devices, and even like when we had DSs, there was 3 kids and you had 2 DSs, and we only got an hour a day, each of us.
And I mean, we spent time together as a family.
Yeah.
It wasn't just go in your room and sit and play video games all day.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
The breakdown of the family unit is a lot of the issue anymore, because...
I agree with that. I agree with that, and I agree too many parents are just handing their kids tablets and letting that raise them. I don't think gentle parenting is the problem. I think gentle parenting is amazing, and it's doing great things, and they've done studies, and it does wonders. It does a lot better than...
See, I think you're taking what I said wrong. So anyway, what I was going to say was, I think that when kids aren't getting the attention and the love at home that they need, not that parents don't love their kids, I don't mean that, but if they're not getting the attention, you hear about the 15 minutes of fame. Well, what can I do to have people look at me? Like, I feel like that's, like, Jude, tying it back to our story.
Yeah.
Like, she wanted to do this ritual, and I feel like it was kind of a, hey, look at me, look what I can do type thing, because she had nobody that was paying attention to her except for the 2 girls that kind of
it's a cry for attention.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of the violence in the world comes from.
And I agree.
I wasn't saying anything's wrong with gentle parenting. Like I said, I didn't beat you guys.
I don't think there's anything wrong with sitting your kid down and explaining stuff to them.
I didn't mean that either. I'm not coming up with a good example, but... I think more what I'm thinking of is the parents who never tell their kids no. You know what I mean?
That's different than...
That's
different than they're trying to touch a hot stove and you say no, get them away, explain it to them. Because that's what you were saying. That's what you said initially. I know.
More like a parent who never says no, like... You know, for example, we have a family member that every time she takes her kids to Walmart, they get a new toy.
Yeah.
You can't go to Christmas shop for them at Walmart because they have everything. And they're the most ungrateful, disrespectful children you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
You take something down there and it's not good enough. You bake a birthday cake for them, it's not good enough because they've never been told no. They've never been taught to have respect for other people.
Well, and that's like the youngest will eat stuff until he throws up and then keep eating. Because he's never been told no, or to stop, or to...
Right. And I didn't grow up that way. You didn't grow up that way. You guys had a snack when you came home from school, and then you didn't have anything until dinner, and then you could have an after-dinner snack. And not that we controlled what you ate, but it was like, you gotta eat healthy food, and not to the point, which it did make your sister throw up over corn that one time. That was...
Well, you also... we went to that.
Yeah, the Japanese place.
Yeah, that they hibachi. That's what it's called,
Yeah.
right? Where everything. If you like hibachi, all power to you. But I threw up, and I had to keep eating.
I didn't make you keep eating.
You didn't. Dad did.
Oh. Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway.
So, I take back, I was not saying gentle parenting is bad. That was the wrong example. I was talking about the parents who never say no and who give in to their kids, and their kids have never known what discipline is. And there's okay, so I take back what I said about the hot stove. I'm going to grab your hand back.
Yeah,
We're going to get
yeah.
you away from it and get you out of that situation.
And there's a difference between saying smacking their hand and grabbing them.
Yeah,
like
well,
removing
that's
them
more
from the
what I meant.
situation.
It was
Yeah.
like- so there's a difference between that and never telling your kids no. And I agree, like sitting down and explaining, hey, that's hot, we don't touch that.
Yeah.
Yes, but I was talking more about the people who are like, you can do whatever you want. You don't have any
Yeah.
boundaries. Like, you can't have functioning adults if you're raised where you don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. And I think, like, there was the shooter not too long ago that his dad had bought him a gun for Christmas. And knowing that he had mental issues. Well, as
Yeah.
a parent, why are you... Not that he knew... I'm not blaming
Yeah.
Dad at all. Not that he knew what his kid was planning to do, but why would you even put that out there? Why would you provide that to
Yeah.
him knowing that he had unresolved issues? I don't know.
Well, and you had mentioned the whole cry for attention thing, and that's what a lot of the school shootings are. It's just people that are trying to get attention because they don't get it anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. So I apologize to gentle parents out there. I did not mean anything against that. I completely said that wrong from the beginning.
I think we explained our points well.
So,
But I think that's about it for this.
Yeah, next
episode.
week we are doing From the Red Fog, which is
A manga series.
5
Tenboken volumes.
Yes. So, and then that wraps up July. No, that wraps up August.
No.
Right?
We've got one more book for August.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is to be determined.
Yeah. I have to pick it.
Yes.
And decided. So we'll let you know next week. But if you've read The Corn Maiden, let us know what you think. Don't hate on me for my
And if you've read
comments.
if you've read the other stories in this novel, let us know what you or anthology, let us know what you think.
Yeah. So we will see you next week.